Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Links with Friends show. Today is February 3rd. This is your reminder now. If you're in a relationship, Valentine's Day is coming.
So, number one thing to remember, Brussels sprouts.
Right?
Number two, Valentine's Day.
Yeah. Brussels sprouts is slightly above.
I can't believe January is gone. That's crazy.
It wasn't a great January.
It was fine.
It's kind of, weather was okay. Let's talk about some robots. Robots are really good at certain things, but the problem is they're really dumb at things that you think that would be easy to be good at. And that might be what saves us during the robot wars.
U.S. Marines defeat DARPA robot by hiding under a cardboard box. Just like Solid Snake.
Good.
There he is, Solid Snake, hiding in a box. So that was not the only thing that beat it. Some guys also actually used kind of the sand walk, the silly walk. The robot knew if you were walking up to it, but it turns out somersaults up to it. Couldn't figure it out. Like, I don't know what that is. The game was you had to get up to it and touch it without being detected by the AI.
Is that all visual based? It seems like an easy way around that would be like if the AI detects more sound, then maybe it flags it.
Does seem like a pretty specific scenario.
Yeah.
But maybe they were trying to do like small tests, like fix one thing at a time. And MILF Manor.
That's a 30 Rock show.
It's not exactly the same name, right? They called it something else.
Yeah, in 30 Rock, it's MILF Island.
Yeah.
And it's like a Survivor thing. But the show is the exact same premise. They literally stole it from 30 Rock.
I didn't realize this. This takes it to such a new level. But so the MILFs are like dating young guys in this show, like half their age. And some of the guys that they date are the sons of the other MILFs.
That's disgusting.
How wild is that?
Yeah, well, I think the show was designed for that.
One of the things in this article they said they did is like a challenge was like figuring out if one of the guys' abs was their own sons. And I was like,
Yeah.
It was by touch.
Yeah.
Not just looking at them.
And that was deliberately chosen because most people would have that reaction.
But not the MILFs.
not people that desperate for
love it.
fame.
Now, what MILF Manor does not have, which is unique among the reality show, is a host. Apparently, Ryan Seacrest was busy. And so they just send them text messages and communications and notifications and stuff, which is all just done automatically by the robots.
Even reality TV hosts are being replaced by robots. That's what this story's about.
Do we really need them?
Well, I'm kind of wondering, so like a lot of reality shows, people kind of really get into the host because like the host sort of explains the situation and like builds up like a little bit of a relationship with the audience. If you don't have that, like between seasons, will people care about it? Or will you have to keep upping the ante every season to make it more exciting?
Krista, think
more
about
scandalous.
this would be a world that you would hate, but think about a world where we didn't have any reality show hosts. We would not have the Joe Rogan Experience podcast.
Oh, wow. That really changes the equation.
And moving on to AI, and of course, it's all about AI creating new things, people fighting about it.
Shutterstock has launched its generative AI image tool. This is probably awesome because these probably won't be protectable by copyright, at least under current laws, which I'm sure that they're rushing to change as soon as they possibly can because, oh boy.
So this is Dolly. They're using the version of Dolly. They made some lip service to the whole like, well, we're not going to be stealing everybody's images. There'll be some sort of fund to compensate people, but it's not really fleshed out yet. We don't
Why
know.
not just ask people? Like,
Because they'd say no.
yeah, right. We can't just let people consent to having their images stolen because otherwise they'd tell us no. So,
And more, we're just giving ChatGPT new assignments and it keeps acing them.
ChatGPT passes an MBA exam given by a Wharton professor. Bot's performance on the test it has important implications for business school education. Or proof that business school education...
or our approach to education is wrong in general. Because I don't know if we included it this week, but there was another story where one passed the bar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like maybe just having this sort of stupid memorization scheme that we've been relying on for education for years is not the way to go about educating people.
I think the business school probably a little more open-ended, right? Probably had to do like writing prompts and stuff like that, but it's really good at that.
What if you staple one of these chips behind your ear that you can just have ChatGPT in your brain at all times?
Ugh.
That's what they want. That's an Neuralink, right? And
I know Kung Fu.
what this teaches us is that the university business model is threatened.
Universities offered software to sniff out ChatGPT written essays. That didn't take long. What was it, last week or the week before? We reported on a student's GitHub project to sniff out ChatGPT. And then some entrepreneur comes along and says, yes, there's a sellable product here.
Unfortunately, I can't remember what the name of the company is, but this is the same. It's one of those companies that did the spyware during the lockdown that was too aggressive. Remember that?
Oh yeah, that like watched your eyes.
And people were getting like busted and they really didn't do anything, or they claimed they didn't do anything. So I don't know if they really have the technology or if they're just like, we have to say that we do because people will buy it. Probably gonna be some false positives there.
Yeah, what if you just write in a really boring way? Because it said that the only way it really knows is if it's like very bland writing, which a lot of academic writing kind of is bland. So
what if all the way down the chain, teachers start using ChatGPT to create assignments and people learn to write like ChatGPT?
Right.
And then
it's that whole like the problem of just memorization education where it's just you can't think creatively or think out of bounds. It's just trying to get answers for an algorithm.
Some people would argue that that's exactly the kind of employee most of our companies want.
Ugh.
And Stanford did some surveys. I imagine that because this was self-reporting, this is overwhelmingly low as far as the truth.
Scores of Stanford students use ChatGPT on final exams, survey suggests.
Yeah, I'd say pretty much everybody's doing it.
Wow.
It's an easy win. But how are they going to monetize ChatGPT? It's out there, everybody's using it, but they're just paying huge costs to run all that compute. Most of it was training it, but still non-trivial. So at some point, they're going to take your money.
ChatGPT users report $42 a month pricing for a quote-unquote pro access, but no official announcement yet. So these are people that have an account. It's something that showed up on their control panel. It's like, okay, $42 a month? What?
Of course, that's the old Hitchhiker's Guide joke.
The answer to life, the universe, and everything, $42. Please, thank you.
Also because, they want money.
Fun times.
And Microsoft just dumped a bunch of money in the AI section, and obviously they want to get some return on that. This will probably be the first step.
Microsoft plans the security features wider release for its OpenAI-powered coding tool. So OpenAI would look at your code and say, this isn't very good. This is going to be vulnerable to SQL injections.
We're also, this was a bit of just a fluff headline though. I mean, these aren't necessarily all that realistic in terms of manufacturing.
They're pretty.
But they do look nice.
AI-generated PC cases could give human designers stiff competition.
These all look like heat boxes.
Yeah, I've created Escher's computer, which is, this is a cool drawing, but unfortunately can't exist in fourth dimensional reality.
How about just a black box with that? Doesn't look like a Christmas tree.
Yeah, I kind of want to make the computer disappear into the desk somehow in a way that works a little better than the Lee & Lee desk.
I can't. Oh, continue without supporting. Yes, that's what I want to do. So chess.com is also doing some fun stuff with AI, and they figured out what everybody's figured out on the internet, which is just mix cats in with it, and people will come in droves, and that's exactly what happened.
Chess playing bot Mittens the cat has the snark and the game to leave you in shreds.
Why are its eyes so dead?
Because it has to play against so many shut-ins.
They should animate that just so its eyes are trembling slightly. Like that's the kind of vibe it has.
But it talks crap to you. It's got some interesting little things here. Here's the crazy thing about it though. They said that this was more of a boost in chess.com visits than that chess Netflix show was.
Wow.
They love Mittens. Mittens is not the only one. There's 6 cats, I think, but Mittens is the spicy one that everybody loves. And we talked last week about CNET used AI to write articles, and then all the other news agencies used AI to write articles about CNET writing an article because that was the fun thing to do. CNET has been appropriately shamed, it seems.
CNET pauses publishing AI written stories after a disclosure controversy.
This is rampant in botany styled stuff. Like, it's clearly just things that have been scraped from other parts of the internet and then just thrown into a list. And it's like, I just need to know what pH I need to have to grow this plant. And I have to scroll through hundreds of other random crap to find it.
Have you tried asking ChatGPT?
ChatGPT won't know because it'll pull from those same crap articles and then it'll just be like random word salad.
Wow. You don't know that. ChatGPT might be able to tell you. And of course, the Supreme Court, they're making the decision about the big tech companies, whether or not they will take these cases on and make these decisions. The big tech companies are definitely voting in the no column.
Meta, Twitter, Microsoft, and others urge Supreme Court not to allow lawsuits against tech algorithms.
Obviously. I did not actually understand how this kills rats. I understand that they're learning the individual rats from one another, but how does that help you kill them?
Pest controllers using facial recognition software to kill rats in people's homes.
Maybe they just want to kill the especially gross ones.
Like just that one.
Yeah. I'm okay with rats in my home, but I don't like Ralph.
And moving on to space, the Starship is it's getting closer and closer to heading to the stars.
SpaceX completes its first stacked Starship fueling test. Why does it have to be stacked? We need more fuel for the things we have planned.
And they filled it all the way up with fuel just to make sure nothing went wrong. It's got to be expensive.
Wildly expensive.
But that's not the only thing we're going to do. And this is, this is a pretty good idea because out in space, any sort of nuclear disaster would not be quite as bad as here on Earth. There is that pesky part about getting it into space, though.
U.S. to test nuclear-powered spacecraft by 2027. We were kind of worried about an explosion spreading nuclear material over a very large area, but we think we've pretty well figured it out.
That seems like a big bet, but we'll see.
I imagine that you probably it wouldn't be active when you launched, right?
It could still spread nuclear material without it being
But it
active.
wouldn't be the EMP because that would be an EMP.
Well, I mean, you would just have radioactive material, like the fuel could spread over a wide area.
It wouldn't be good. Nothing good would come of that.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like that would end well.
Now, if you are someone who watches the night sky and you like events like this, you have definitely a once in a lifetime. It's actually even more than once in a lifetime. This was how many decades?
50,000 years.
Yeah.
So, if you want to see this, see it now.
Exotic green comet not seen since the Stone Age returns to the skies above Earth. What it actually is it turns out that we're actually a super weapon created by other sentient beings for the universe, and we just consume and destroy everything in our path. And so we were created to destroy the universe, and we were forgotten about by our creator. It checks on us every 50,000 years to be like, are they ready yet? Are they ready? And then it's like,
Look what they've done to the planet.
Yeah.
They've made this place a dump.
I like to imagine that it's coming back on a 50,000 year reminder. It's like, hey guys, remember, don't go down the social media tech tree. That's the filter.
No.
Don't do that. Mm-hmm. And on Mars, we got some robots running around, and it's amazing. They were not built to perform this well, but they're still going strong.
Mars helicopter Ingenuity aces its 40th red planet flight.
What a champion.
It flew 500 feet.
Woo. And we have a new record in terms of signals from beyond.
Astronomers capture radio signal from ancient galaxy at record-breaking distance thanks to gravitational lensing.
Says, drink your Ovaltine.
We're basically looking back in time.
Ovaltine's been around a long time.
Space Ovaltine. Now, if you're going to watch that comet, you're probably going to have to go pretty far out into the sticks to get any kind of look at it because light pollution.
Light pollution rapidly reducing the number of stars visible to the naked eye, a study has found. That makes sense. We've reported on that several times. Also, they really should have mentioned the number of satellites increasing.
Yeah.
Because that's also affecting the number of things that you can take pictures of from the ground.
And, I didn't consider this till I read this. I mean, of course, I knew this, but many plants have gender. Mm-hmm. That might be controversial. I'm sorry, but it's true. And the female plants drop the fruits, obviously, and that can be kind of messy. So we don't plant those in public. But here's the thing that just occurred to me. All the dust that's like in your lungs and all over your vehicle, everything, that's basically tree ejaculate. And
This is an older article, but I was like, wow, this is so interesting. We have to cover
it
it.
makes it so much less pleasant to think about.
Botanical sexism cultivates homegrown allergies.
So people have noticed, especially over the last like 10 years, that the allergy rates in cities in particular have gone up astronomically. And it's because they've been planting male trees. They've removed a lot of those old growth female trees and then planted these little male trees. And then they just produce a lot of pollen every season. They don't produce the fruit, but lots and lots of pollen.
We could reduce the amount of pollen by half if we kept the same number of trees and equalized the genders.
Apparently the botanists learned nothing from communist China. You need to balance.
Or Jurassic Park.
Life found a way.
And, I guess this is in the vein of everything we do is bad.
Tire dust is the quote-unquote DDT of our generation. Companies know that the products threaten fish habitats and a bunch of other things. And they have no plan
Also causes like lung cancers and
What can we do about that? How do we fix that?
We need to make tires out of a more common material like rocks and dirt.
I don't think that would have the right quality.
I mean, for like being near like a interstate, there's not much you can do about that.
Can I use wooden tires? Would that work?
Horse and buggy. I got stuck behind a horse and buggy the other weekend.
And this was the hot headline last week. I guess this was also after we filmed last week.
It was.
But, it's basically meaningless, but hard to argue with their findings here, considering the state of the world.
Scientists set the Doomsday Clock closer to midnight than ever before. It's 90 seconds to midnight.
Yes. Did you watch the video of it though? It's so awkward. So like they have the big clock and then they pull down the thing that's covering it and then they just sit in silence for like a solid 20 seconds. It's very weird.
You got to drink in the gravitas of the situation.
Except it just kind of felt awkward.
Those were the only 4 people on planet Earth that are actually concerned about our continued existence. And Ray Bradbury. Oh, wait, no, he died.
Well, this man probably isn't as concerned about the Doomsday Clock because he's worried about people maybe not watching his movies by the billion. And I don't know if he's got the right take here because personally, a sample size of 1 getting a little saturated.
Kevin Feige,
Feige, I think.
Kevin Feige doesn't think audiences will ever get tired of superhero movies.
That's what they said in the 70s about like Westerns and cowboy movies.
They changed the headline because originally it was superhero fatigue.
I can't remember what the last one I watched was.
They kind of all start to feel the same after a while. I haven't seen one in years.
And the planet, we're embarking on all this stuff like, oh, let's just put some stuff in the clouds. It'll work. No, we don't understand the planet. We don't know what's going on. And don't let anybody tell you that they do.
The Yahoo News headline is Earth's inner core rotating slower than the surface, a study suggests. But actually, the study also said that the Earth's core is probably already spinning the other way now.
Does that mean our poles are reversed?
No. Nobody knows what it means.
Ooh.
We have no idea.
Oh, that's exciting. What an exciting time to be alive,
Why
chat.
is that exciting?
I saw a meme of this where it was like climate disasters, recession, plague, and it was like the guy reaching out toward it, and then like the big thing came behind him, and it was like the core slowing down.
Yeah, there's a lot that could go wrong. I mean, if the sun were to move a little bit,
Yeah.
it would just be it for us. Now, Hulk Hogan is certainly not as relevant as he once was. He's sort of been, he's lost his charm because he said some horrible things, but he's still out there and he's getting old. And he's doing some old man stuff. He's making old man tech mistakes.
Hulk Hogan tweets a plea for toilet paper, but it was really funny because you read it in his voice. It was like, help a brother out.
Brother.
Yeah.
You got to put the brother in there. So he apparently meant to tweet that or send that to like his manservant or whatever. Imagine getting
His house, Carl.
getting your instructions from Hulk Hogan as your
Twitter
lord that
DM.
you're taking care of, but you're getting them all through Twitter DMs.
So,
Also, how does Hogan not have a bathroom with like backup toilet paper or something? You think that would be opulent?
yeah, some sort of closet where it has like extra supplies.
Oh, you know what he should have done? He should have just like ripped his shirt off and then used that.
Ugh.
You don't want to flush that.
No.
Oh no, just get the house Carl to come.
Dispose of this.
Ugh.
Here's the thing that shocked me the most about this story. These toys are $100 to $300.
Yeah.
Who is paying this?
Black Eyed Peas, my humps ripped off by pooping unicorn toy, a lawsuit claims. And you read this, and you think that the pooping unicorn toy company is a brilliant satirical reflection on everything.
So my humps has been turned into my poops, and these guys poop rainbows.
It's kind of a rainbow slime, from what I understand.
This is something that would pop up on Marketplace, and it would be like $600, and I'd be like, what? And then the description is always, I know what I have.
We're only halfway through the nonsense section. It's all uphill from here.
I didn't sort them at all.
I like to go in completely blind to nonsense. I don't want to know.
And the streets of America are certainly getting less and less safe, for sure. You have to worry about a lot of different issues.
You know the cars in RoboCop? Meet the first car. We're on the RoboCop timeline.
I think this is actually much more advanced. We've learned from the RoboCop car, and we've improved it dramatically.
Pepper spray for the school run. The weaponized SUV is set to terrify America's streets. So this SUV has a lot of defensive things. Somebody's, running up to you to try to spray your car. You can hit a button. It's like, the homeless dude that's trying to wash your windshield. You can pepper spray them. This seems like a great solution. Just fabulous.
The Lucille Bluth.
No rear window at all. It's all camera and screen, giant screen.
Because it has to be bulletproof.
You can't take shots from the back. Smoke screen has an active smoke screen. Like that you can't smoke screen American streets? That's got to be illegal, right?
You can breathe that in. It
was an emergency situation. It also has a blast shield on the bottom of the thing, which would be great for driving in Detroit. I mean, this thing looks like it's built for Michigan.
Pure Michigan.
They also point out the starting model, which does not have any of those features that we just talked about, just the armored starting model, $250,000, $350,000 if you want to go up with all the bells and whistles.
Nice. Somebody's going to make a lot of money on that.
Seems like that would just point you out as a target, right? And the military having a tough time getting new recruits, as there is quite a specter of war right now. And one of the ways we talked about last week, they were lowering the bar. If you fail the competency or the weight requirements, they'll still take you. That's put you in a special section. That's not all they're doing to try to get more recruits.
How e-girl influencers are trying to get Gen Z into the military. I don't think they're complying with FTC disclosure laws. Where's Lena Conley?
Absolutely not. It's almost like, they're okay with it if it's the U.S. government doing it.
But just warn you now, this is a rabbit hole you can go down. Because Ryan mentioned this on the stream, and I was like, there's no way this is real. And it's like, no, there's a pattern here.
Absolutely. Well, they also advertise all over Twitch. Same thing.
So the girl on the right here, I can't remember her name. It starts with an L. Lujan. It turned, according to dazeddigital.com, I don't know what they're, if they actually know, but they claim that she is actually employed by the U.S. Army PsyOps division.
That's incredible.
Not surprised at all.
Absolutely incredible.
How can they reconcile you're not allowed to use TikTok because it's China, but they're using TikTok to recruit?
They got to get
that
to the youth
doesn't make
somehow.
any sense.
Now, if they block it, eventually they'll have to go to, Twitch or wherever else the youth flock to. But while it's unbanned, make hay while the sun shines.
Now, this story, you might wonder, why would they use that item? I think probably they were just trying to hide it because they know how valuable they are now. Because eggs are just insanely valuable right now.
Unknown possible explosive device, prompted evacuation was actually an egg and a handkerchief, officials say.
So apparently somebody got a call and they were like, listen, we put a device under your house, and unless you pay us or do something, we're going to blow it up. And then they sent them a picture of the handkerchief wrapped around something. So they called the cops. Cops showed up. It's an egg. They evacuated the neighborhood.
Just in case.
And high schools, now, considering the bad things that are happening in a lot of American high schools these days, you would think we'd have some sharpened security. Apparently not.
Adult woman posed as a New Brunswick high school student for 4 days before being caught.
We had a similar story to this maybe a year or two ago.
The headline is not accurate. She was not caught. She was in an impossible situation when they weren't allowing her to leave school because an adult would not come and pick her up. So she stayed for an after-school activity, but in order to be released from the after-school activity, an adult had to come pick her up. And that's when she said, I'm 29. I'm leaving now. So she was caught because she said, "I'm leaving now because I'm 29."
She must look here pretty young, right? I mean, at 29 to pull that off, that's impressive.
Well, no, it said that the other high school students had tried to raise concerns with administrators who wouldn't listen.
She said it's straight bussin'. None of us say that anymore.
They were all like sitting there taking notes. She was doing her taxes.
Yeah. She was 29.
But also, we don't know the motivation. Some people suspected that she might have been trying to recruit for sex trafficking.
Ooh.
That's a darkness. Over in Japan, they have the whaling industry. Now, they're not supposed to have the whaling industry.
And yet,
What they do is they have research boats, and they've watched them from drones and helicopters. It's the whaling industry. They're like, oh, let's research this whale by chopping it up and selling the parts. But apparently the people of Japan, they're souring on that. How do you rejuvenate that industry?
Japan whaling firm pins hopes on vending machines to revive sales. The author of this article went to the trouble of talking to young people who said, I wouldn't eat whale. I don't think I should eat whale.
I went on a whaling tour and it was really cool to see the whales up close, and now I feel bad for them and don't want to eat them.
Seems reasonable.
I guess it's cheap because you get so much at once, right?
When you're if you're fishing, yeah.
Yeah. But is it tasty?
Well, how old is that whale? How
Well,
many,
right,
how
and
many
like-
years did it take to produce that whale?
Yeah, it's not like a cow where you have it ready for season next year. It's like, how many years does it take to get to the full size?
I mean, even with a cow, shouldn't you wait like 2-3 years?
Yeah, that's still a lot of effort goes into that.
And we have a lot of corruption in our government, a lot of horrible things going on in the industry, obviously. Most people just put the blinders on. They don't really care. I guess I'm guilty of that because what am I doing? But there is one way to motivate people.
The Senate's Ticketmaster hearing featured plenty of Taylor Swift puns and protesters.
The Swifties showed up in force to protest Ticketmaster during the congressional hearings.
I would like to say something controversial about Taylor Swift's new video for Lavender Haze. The flowers that are featured in that video are not lavender. They look like they're lupine. So
Wow.
just FYI, calling her out. Hashtag canceled.
If I ever meet Taylor Swift, I'm going to give her just an open-handed slap in the face because of that.
You need to have your entire creative team fired for picking the wrong flower for the video.
I read this one. I still don't get it.
I don't understand.
I don't understand this one.
UK menopause law rejected as it could discriminate against men, quote unquote. So this was, as women enter menopause, they would be entitled to take time off work to deal with that or go see their doctor or whatever, which seems reasonable. But then somebody said this could be used to discriminate against men, which I don't understand.
Don't men also need to have like prostate exams and stuff? Couldn't you just make it so
Yeah.
both can have time off work? Like,
I don't know if it's just for the medical part. I think it might be because it's like, it makes you miserable. I don't really understand it. Maybe engagement challenge. Now, were you guys aware that we make shoes out of kangaroos?
No, I had no idea. Cleats,
no.
apparently.
Why do cleats need to be made out of kangaroos? Doesn't make sense to me.
Oregon bill would ban sale of kangaroo parts, targeting Nike and other shoemakers, which is really bold of them considering Nike's a major employer in Oregon.
How would kangaroo leather outperform other kinds of leather?
probably just cheaper.
Is it? I guess they're kind of a pest, right? In
Yeah.
Australia?
People just shoot them, whatever. I think even cow leather, like, people still pay more for it, but like, it's technically just a off product from like beef cattle processing.
Makes sense.
So
You wouldn't kill a cow just for that. It's
yeah,
not
yeah.
valuable enough.
So it's like, it's an offset from other stuff.
So we just need to find another reason to kill the kangaroos, and then it'll be okay.
Yeah, then it'd be all right.
Well, book burning, or at least the modern version of it, is still heavily in effect. This always just terrifies me. Like, how about we just let the kids know what's going on? We don't need to protect them. They need to know what they're getting into.
Florida teachers told to remove books from the classroom libraries or risk felony prosecution. So it would be nice if one teacher drew the short straw to be actually prosecuted by this so that it could go to the Supreme Court because, oh my gosh. But second of all, can the teachers maintain a list of books that they would be convicted of a felony for having in the classroom and then post that list to the classroom? Because that would be amazing. I guarantee you everybody in the class would read those books.
Now, this is because of a new law that DeSantis did, and it's got 3 major prongs. The first one makes sense. Free of pornography. Okay. That maybe not have that in the school. Suited to students' needs and their ability to comprehend the material presented. Who can decide that?
Right. Well, yeah, and here's the thing too. So like in middle school, I was in like advanced English classes, so we covered more like mature material. Wouldn't that be up to the discretion of the teacher and not?
Because you can't comprehend 1984, therefore it has no business being here. And it's a felony if it is here because we've decided it's so.
I bet when I was in high school, I could have comprehended some books that the staff couldn't. Some of them.
Yeah. I think that's probably it's like, what's the curve in Florida schools that, it's just going to get worse from here, right?
Is Florida teacher any better than Florida man? And Disney doing a little downsizing, cutting some of the fat, but people have hard nostalgia for Disney, unfortunately.
Splash Mountain water is on eBay for what, $150? Buy it now. It's a jar of Splash Mountain water.
People need to be
Or
slapped.
bag.
I like the person who took the time to like kind of make their bag a little more exciting with the little. Yeah, that's nice.
I do appreciate the image that proves you got it from there.
Yeah.
Because you definitely couldn't come home and fill up 20 jars that look like that one.
Doesn't have to have the bromine smell or whatever.
You could probably get some bromine, right?
Yeah.
Splash Mountain has been shut down in order to make a new ride.
Here's another one that I don't understand.
I think this is some sort of elaborate joke that we don't understand. M&M's replaces its spokes candies with Maya Rudolph after Tucker Carlson's rants.
This is like the meme of like, we'll probably be demonetized for this, but like the Snickers bar Dick Vane.
I think he covered that too.
Yeah, like the reality just getting more and more bizarre by the moment.
I think his problem was they tried to move away from the genders of the M&Ms. Like the green was the sexy M&M, right?
They just put her in tennis shoes instead of heels, and he got mad about it.
But they, they kind of de-sexed her.
Right.
Which,
It's an M&M.
do I want to eat sexy M&Ms? Not really.
Was it even that sexy to begin? It's a cartoon M&M.
I get the 5,000 yard stare back there. Thinking about the M&Ms.
I don't even.
You're thinking about something else
Yeah.
that happened this week that we can't talk about.
That did cross my mind, but also just why? My brain is like, I'm spending cycles on something that I shouldn't. This is crazy.
It's rage bait, right? This is probably all an ad campaign. Tucker Carlson's probably in on it.
Yeah, it's
And we've all been baited.
Rage bait is a good way to describe that.
Yeah.
It's more effective than any actual campaign, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Got to figure out how to make the people eat the poison. It is delicious poison, though. And here's another
Can you eat
one.
M&Ms?
No, that's why I was saying, like,
Yeah.
because like, oh, I remember M&M's because Wendell's a big M&M fan.
I know.
Yeah, I don't understand again why we're not allowed to say this word. It's another word we're not allowed to say.
Don't say mummy. Why museums are rebranding ancient Egyptian remains. It's because of the supernatural connotation of mummies. Because every time we open, a sealed
Everyone
mummy,
freaks out, yeah.
people died. It's like the curse of the mummy, all that stuff in the 1950s. They all got sick and died.
I could
There's
see that.
the Eastern Kentucky mummy. I went to a talk about it.
I could see like country folk. It's like, oh, let's go see the mummy. That's the devil.
Or what happened to the mummy that was found here? They found it under like a rock shelf, perfectly preserved. The guy was like, oh, cool. And he took it home and he shellacked it and then put it in a local museum. And then the university was like, yeah, maybe don't do that, please.
And we have a story out of Iran here. And it's a bit of if you're you're trying to run a country, here's a pro tip. If you're going to do the study, you shouldn't do the study and then say we can't release it because it's too terrifying. That's not a good move.
We did that with bridges, though. A list of unsafe buildings in Tehran not released to avoid panic.
People need to keep going to their jobs in these unsafe buildings because otherwise line go down.
We did that here, but it was more stupid. It was, we're going to test all of our federal bridges and see which ones need work. And then there was a list of bridges that were like A+, these bridges are amazing. And the results for all the other bridges were withheld. And it's like, well, those are the bridges that have problems, right? Really severe problems that you don't want to talk about. And there was a lot of them.
I mean, we are fixing a lot of them, but probably not as many as we should.
And adorable animal stories. Luckily, this one has a happy ending.
Oh,
A railroad worker rescues raccoon after the hair on its butt got frozen to the tracks. That was almost a tongue twister.
oh.
Here's the aftermath.
Ooh.
What they did is they got warm water and poured over it while they leveraged it with a shovel.
Oh, bless his little heart.
I'm sure it had no idea what was going on.
It's got to be terrifying, right? I wonder how long it was on the track before somebody found it.
A good thing they did find it, otherwise he wouldn't be here to tell the story.
It might have been able to, because it was to the side of the track. It might have been able to like flatten out and survive.
Or
but
would
it
have
probably-
panicked and just, yeah.
Now here's another one. No details.
None.
No motivation. Why would someone do this? Isn't it expensive?
Yeah.
I would expect answers from this article. You will get nothing. You'll get nothing.
Dailyvoice.com/Pennsylvania. Garbage reporting.
4 men toss deer urine on woman at Walmart parking lot.
If this isn't a small town, and I assume it is, my only reasoning can be like, this person cheated on our boy, or like,
I don't
they
know.
were
I
mean
think
to
it
my
was-
sister,
nothing.
like,
I think it was opportunistic because first they spread the urine inside the Walmart. And then they were driving around the parking lot and it seemed like they just happened upon this woman and
Makes
blasted her.
no sense.
that's worse somehow.
What sort of meth fueled reasoning led to this?
Deer urine, what do you pay for deer urine? It's not cheap.
It's not, nothing about deer hunting is cheap.
Maybe they found their dad's stash. They were young. They were like 18-year-old guys. And I love these stories because more and more, you know, these municipalities spent millions and
Yeah.
millions on all this new equipment. Apparently, they didn't test it.
Rain stopped York Council's 500,000-pound electric garbage trucks from working.
I like that you won't say bin lorries. It's like, no, we're American here.
I translated it for the American audience.
I do love calling the garbage cans wheelie bins.
Really, yeah, that's a good
That's
name.
a fun one. It's very descriptive. And we've been talking about the egg crisis. Still in the egg crisis. I've got some at home, and like I'm getting close to the date. I'm eating them like crazy because
As you do.
you can't throw it away. It's gold. You got to use it.
As prices soar, border officials are seeing a spike in egg smuggling from Mexico. A lot of people are driving to Mexico to buy groceries. Because, okay.
Can't bring the eggs back. That's terrorism.
It could be an explosive device.
And Pharma Bro, Martin Shkreli. We thought because of his crimes he would be put away forever. Nah, he's out. He's back in the world. And he's doing things that he promised he wouldn't.
FTC calls for Martin Shkreli to be held in contempt of court for forming a new drug company.
That seems fair to me.
What?
Fair that he's being held in contempt, not.
What part of don't do this confused him?
The name of his new company, I think, has the word drug in it. Like he's not even trying.
I didn't know, Your Honor.
Was it literally drug-like?
Oh yeah, drug-like. That's what it was. Yeah.
Wow.
No, I think in his mind, drug-like is not drugs. The
It's like,
same
no,
way
it's-
that butter-like is not butter.
It's like drugs.
I can't. The next company name is I can't believe it's not drugs.
And this is Fox News. It's probably a little bit, you know, like
Absolutely.
hyped up.
Yeah.
But this actually is happening. That there, you can link to the actual government thing. They are doing this study.
Norwegian government funds research to find out if white paint is racist. Engagement challenge. Are you Norwegian? Can you look this up and tell us if this is some translation glitch from your native language? What is going on?
I think it's just good at reflecting light and heat.
Oh yeah, we went with a white roof on this building, which was amazing.
Wow. You're going to admit that?
It dramatically lowered the energy bills.
And I love Indian stories from these like little local Indian places about the cows. And it all seems like totally normal to them. But to us, it's madness.
Cow dung protects from atomic radiation, says local court while sentencing youth to life.
His crime? Transporting cows, possibly for slaughter.
Also, this is the world we're living in. And this is why the Doomsday Clock's been moved up, is because we're all concerned about atomic radiation now. It's like, well, I better keep that cow poop around because, you know,
That was
better than nothing.
They debunked it.
Right.
Doesn't actually help.
Oh,
It only
surprised.
well, it does help if they've had enough lead paint.
You got to feed your cow lead pellets.
Oh.
And finally, I love to end on an animal story, even though I didn't plan it that way because I didn't sort.
I put
First
it there.
report of rare cat discovered on Mount Everest.
Look at his face.
In before Gwyneth Paltrow adopts one.
He He looks like Mr. Cricket, but his face is smashed in. I love him.
So that's a palace cat, right?
I think, yeah. So apparently there's a lot of animals named after that guy, but
There's his
they
poop.
found one after like a long time.
They thought that it was extinct because it hasn't been seen on Mount Everest in forever and ever.
What is there to eat up there?
Small rodents.
Yeah, you're probably not high elevation.
17,000 feet.
Yeah.
Also, they found a fox. I like to think that they're good friends.
Yeah.
It's going to be
Maybe
a
the
Disney,
fox bashed his face in. That's why it looks
Disney
like that.
stop motion animation special soon.
Only 40 minutes for Friday.
Well, it's a nonsense episode.
Space and Robot can be hit or miss.
What was your favorite story this week?
I don't remember any of them.
Just to really forget. The cat one's good. I liked I did the tree thing too. I thought that was cool.
The collapse stories this week were especially unsettling because,
Yeah, the length of time.
well, the number of layoffs and then the severance packages are so long, I think means that all these companies think that the economic downturn is only just beginning and is going to be very long-lived.
I like the confirmation that everything we always knew about Twitter was actually real.
Yeah.
A lot of people denied
You
that.
guys like
Also
the dark
unsettling.
stories.
I don't like it. It's just that in a lot of those stories, they were gaslighting you the whole time they were happening. And then something like that happens. And it's like, oh, it turns out they were correct.
But it's also frustrating because when something big comes out like that, and you're like, "Oh, it was like that all along. We knew all along," but it doesn't matter.
Yeah. It's like, oh, that was a conspiracy theory. And it's like, no, it turns out that there was some truth to that. Or like the Intel stuff with like, cause they ended the networking division, the RISC-V stuff was all they put a stop to. And, 6 months ago in the marketing stuff, they said, no, we're really super committed to this. It's going to be great. And then now it's just gone. And so if you invested in that, or if you were going to be a believer in that ecosystem, you got sort of a rug pull kind of situation.
And from time to time, we'll get a comment on YouTube, and people will be like, "You're just reporting mainstream news stories. You know that's all crap. Like, why would you even do that?" Well, if you do the thought exercise of, well, let's say that we didn't do that, where would we get any information from? And that's just, there is no place. We would just be sort of floating in ignorance. Maybe that's better than being lied to. I don't know. But we wouldn't have any content.
We do try to point it out when Reuters leaves stuff out and other companies leave stuff out, because it's like, don't forget about this other tangent that this article completely glosses over, which is in this other article. I think it's worthwhile.
Yeah.
I think there's still a whole lot of BS in these links.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there really
we
is.
try, but and even here, like we have our own biases, which are probably pretty clear. I would hope,
But
but
what else are we going to do, chat? Engagement challenge. How
we're
do you-
human. We're not bots. We can't have no bias, except even the bots have bias.
Links with friends. At the end of the day, I like to think we're reasonable human beings, and that a lot of the time, all of this media is written as if, the opposing thing is just so patently, absurdly unreasonable. And it's like, well, that's not really usually the case. There are a few people that are like that, but that's not the vast majority.
It is on Twitter.
Well,
All right.
see you next week.